Welcome back, Jay Spivey from North Carolina. Jay, how are you, man?
Good morning, gentlemen.
Mr.
Okay,
Spivey, how are you?
Doing well.
we were talking.
I'm vacated and ready to go.
Hey,
Just got back from the beach a couple of days ago. I'm vacated and ready to go.
Good,
nice.
good. Jay Spivey is another dear friend of ours and a dear friend of the show who says the truth about what's
Yes.
going on in sports and gets killed for it, i.e., North Carolina Tar Heels.
Oh, it's
Tar
more than that.
Heels.
But if you want to go along those lines, okay. They crushed
Tar-
me for my quote unquote opinion.
yeah, I've heard from Tar Heels to the Panthers,
Oh, what? Yeah, I get it. All
the
sports, all
Hornets,
levels of sports, it doesn't matter.
and all you
Mm-hmm.
do is espouse what you see on the field or on the court, on the
Bingo,
diamond. That's all you do.
bingo.
And the fact that I'm outspoken, people cannot stand that.
They can't stand it about us either. They can't
And they
stand.
tell me I
They
need to
can't
stay in
stand
my
it.
lane.
Who told you that?
Here's
Or do you-
something that drives me, and I'm sure you guys hear this too.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I'm a sports writer and follow sports, apparently in this world that we're living in now, I'm not allowed to know anything else about anything else. I'm supposed to stay in my lane about everything other than sports.
Really?
Oh, I hear it all the time.
That's one of the most
Man, we get
clownish
it too.
takes I've heard in a while.
We get it. We get it too. Lord
We
knows
do.
I get it.
Yeah, we do.
I consider myself a halfway intelligent person. I follow
Mhm.
a lot of things other than sports.
Yeah.
Hey.
I consider myself pretty well versed in a lot of things, and
Mhm.
it's not just sports. So for anybody to say about whether I be a sports writer or somebody who's a politician or somebody who's a business person, you can't do more than one thing in life. Are you kidding me?
I guess not. I guess they're like
I
you have
yeah,
to
I
be
guess not.
of one sound path, and that's it. I mean, it's one of the most clownish things I've heard, but I'm not surprised.
Nor am I.
I mean,
I'm
mind
not
you, I'm the one.
I'm
Mind you, the
not
same person
surprised.
that always hears that the Cowboys are going to Super Bowl every year. So
Oh
you
God!
know
Mhm.
what EDC I hear
Oh
every
my
year.
gosh! Well,
Listen. Wait,
the 4 letter network it constantly talks about them. I mean, it could be the middle of March, and we're talking about the Cowboys.
Yep.
Yep.
I
Or
mean,
the
I'm
Lakers.
so sick of hearing about CD Lamb. My goodness, and that get his money?
No, he will not.
No.
I've said
They
I've
won't.
said already that this is probably Dak's last year. That if he does not make it to at least the NFC Championship,
They're not going
he's
to.
not. And
They're
he's
not.
not. You're right. They're not going to.
They're
So I'm
It,
not
like,
going to.
this is a Cowboys team, and I've used this word. Jay has used this word. Hell, Jay's been using this word about the Cowboys as long as he's been on air with us.
mhm.
This is a Cowboys team that is in complete disarray.
That not only that, I mean, we're going back to Zeke Elliott. He's like 90 years old.
I mean, after being put up as center against the 49ers,
He barely. I mean, he
you
showed
probably
up
would
to
gain
field
some
with the
age.
Patriots.
You probably would gain some age. But it's like I said it before earlier this day. Dak has become a regular season quarterback,
Yep,
and that's it.
that's all.
They
And
do
can you
not.
really trust? Can you? And in the games where they're playing better teams, can you really trust him?
No, not
No.
Can
really.
you trust? I mean, the 49ers own him. They own
Yep.
him.
They do
Yep.
with lease in hand. With lease in
Lease in
hand.
hand, and the signature's dry on it.
And frankly, the Packers have owned him. The
Yep.
Eagles have owned him.
Mhm.
I mean,
Hmm.
come on.
The whole division, even the Washington Redskins have owned him. Remember, 3 years ago they had a chance to snatch the division, and then they went to Washington, and
There was
that
Washington,
happened.
and that happened.
And he
Yep.
always seems to get hurt at some point during the season.
Yep.
That too.
Last 3 years.
It's just it's like I said, that's just what I have to deal with.
But
Whatever.
this is the Cowboys being hyped up as the Cowboys. I mean, it's like,
That's true.
my goodness, jeez. And Jerry, of course, Jerry, he's always got to be on there. My goodness.
Jarrell had to be center of attention as per usual because you can't get away from him.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we care? I know he's technically the general manager, but why do we care what he says?
Why
I
do we
don't.
really? Why do we care what he says? Why
I
is he?
mean, do you ever see any other owner in the NFL have post-game press conferences after every game?
No,
No, no.
Not even David Tepper with his giant ego does that.
no,
Not even
and
Virginia McCaskey. Not
not
even
even
Virginia
Virginia
McCaskey.
McCaskey. Nope. And the best run teams, Kansas City, San Francisco, Philadelphia, they certainly don't do that. They
They
let the
don't need
players
to.
do the talking.
Right.
Exactly.
They don't need to.
Do you ever see um I like the I mean it's just you never see any other owner do this. Never.
Nope. Nor
Never.
have a weekly radio show.
Oh
But
no.
he needs
Nor
the
have a weekly
attention.
radio
It's the
show.
source of his power. He needs attention. It's the source of his power. He can't. He's like a vampire. He needs
Right.
like a vampire needs
Right,
blood.
that's right. That's true. That's true.
And it's disgusting to most of the Cowboy faithful because they're like, dude, our play has not been good. Why do you
Exactly.
keep going on these shows and going on these podcasts and make an utter fool of yourself? Which then trickles down to us.
That's an understatement.
And they're
It's
on that. They're on national. They could be 5-10 and be on national TV.
On prime time. Yep.
and it's like I'll use a comparison that Jay uses a lot, and it's so true. The Cowboys can be 5-10, and they get the national spotlight and the national games. It's just like the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees fighting for third place in the American League East. And guess what? They're on Sunday Night Baseball.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like we're never going to see a Royal on Sunday Night Baseball.
Oh, not even a chance.
Which is sad.
Shockingly enough, I don't know if you've seen who's on this coming Sunday night. Shockingly enough, the Mariners and Orioles are on this week.
Wow.
And the you know why the Mariners are? I'm surprised at that game because of A, how well the Orioles are doing. B, the Mariners are trying to keep up with a suddenly surging Houston Astros team in the West.
Who jumped from 10 games out to 4 games up.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't people believe in the? Let me ask Jay that. Let me ask both of you guys this question. And Jay, I'll begin with you. At the top of the season, when we did our predictions, everybody came to me, you guys included, and you say, who's going to win the American League West? Without blinking, I said the Houston Astros.
Mm-hmm.
And I get questions of what about Seattle? What about the Angels? What about the A's? The A's are in their own state of turmoil. They don't even know where the hell they want to play. The Angels, the same thing. They're playing in a dilapidated Anaheim Stadium, which they decorated with scoreboards and everything.
Well, they can blame that on their not the stadium, but they were talking about this during they played the Braves over the weekend, and they talked about the Braves are now the Angels not only blew it last year, but they blew it 2 years ago. They should have traded Ohtani, but Artie Moreno refused to do it because of how much money they were making off of it.
Yep.
Wow.
They could have had a pot full of prospects coming in if they would have traded him 2 years ago. And last year.
Right, and they were right there.
And they got
right in the position
absolutely nothing for him living and going to the Dodgers.
Got nothing. They got nothing for him, and now they're going to languish for even longer than they're languishing right now.
And they frankly should have traded Mike Trout 3 or 4 years ago.
Trout was never going to be the man for the Angels.
Well, it's too late now. He's too hurt.
Yep. He can't stay on the field. You know, a player that I mentioned earlier in the show that had a ton of talent but can't stay on the field, who recently got traded, Eloy Jimenez. The White Sox were expecting him to be one of the saviors of that team, and he can't stay on the damn field.
I think I might have told you this. A lot of those really good prospects that ended up with the White Sox and some other teams as well played right here for Winston-Salem.
And for the Winston-Salem Dash.
And I covered every single one of them when I was with the newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
And I interviewed almost all of them. And I was like, I interviewed all of them. I said, what do you think about this? Because when you guys get to Chicago, you are going to be really good. Well, they did go there, and they never meshed. Never.
No.
Now they're absolutely horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And to the point where they may need to find another superstar because Luis Robert may be gone next year.
Oh, he's not going to be playing that next year. Frankly, they didn't trade enough players a couple weeks ago at the trade deadline.
Mm-hmm.
They should have traded almost the entire team.
And they didn't. You
They
got to
didn't.
stockpile you got to stockpile your prospects right now and just push the plunger and start all over.
It's just, and I'm gonna go with the reverse on the Orioles. And I was watching MLB when I called you guys.
Mm-hmm.
The Orioles should have traded for a starting pitcher, probably a bat, with all
Yes.
the capital they have. I mean, they
Mm-hmm.
have so much talent in their minor league system and major league system, and they didn't do it because they're more worried about next year than this year. Well, go
Yeah.
for it this year while you got a chance. You don't know what's
Yeah.
going to be given you next year.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And now the Yankees were going to win the division because they didn't go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hate seeing it play out like this. Trout's gone back to the Angels. Trout's gone with another injury. I think I'll go ahead and say it. I think Trout's finished.
He might be because his
I think
knee,
Mike
he
Trout is finished.
cannot keep his knee healthy. He might very well be done. And
Mm-hmm.
that would be sad if that were true, but it could very well. You never know in the injuries. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
Especially meniscus. You don't know.
Yeah, meniscus is usually a really bad injury.
I had
And
to
at
deal
some
with
point,
that.
that's going to be bone on bone.
Mm-hmm. I had to deal with that. When I was heavier than what I am right now, I had to deal with that, and I nearly lost mine. So I know that I know that's painful. Speaking of painful, and now we're gonna laugh. The Carolina Panthers.
Oh,
I did make a preface to say we're gonna laugh. Did I not?
well, I can't even laugh at how bad they are.
All right, here we go with the rhetorical question. Why not?
Well, I know they played it. Let's see. They played the Jets this past week. But I'll go back to the last week since we didn't talk last week.
Right.
And I know it was the first game of preseason last week. I get that.
Yes.
But who would pay to see the Patriots and Panthers play a preseason game?
Not I.
Mm.
Not I.
I mean, my goodness, how bad is that? They're probably the two worst teams in the NFL this year.
I mean, you
could not have paid me enough.
You could probably put those tickets in a Cracker Jack box and might get a couple people there.
Maybe.
Might.
Yeah, might. Operative word.
Thank you, Victor. Might be in the operative word.
They're terrible.
Awful. God, awful, man.
And I know it's preseason, but they cannot score. They
Nope.
cannot score.
Listen, even the 49ers, with the problems that they have and the missing pieces that they have, put up a better fight against New Orleans than what the Panthers did. Panthers and Jets, for that matter. I would have been surprised if that preseason. I would not have been surprised, I beg your pardon, if that preseason game, Panthers and Jets, would have ended in a tie.
Well, I don't know how you guys are. I used to watch, especially weeks two and three, when it was 4 preseason games before. Especially back in weeks 2 and 3, I used to actually enjoy the games because you could see prospects and see what guys were. Now, all 3 games are terrible. Nobody of any relevance playing.
I used to
awful.
Honestly, I used to watch all 4. I used to watch all 4 weeks of preseason football.
Same here.
I watch all 4 because I
did too because it was football, but
it was football and it was fun to watch. And as you said, Jay, from a fan's eyes and a journalist's eyes, you get to make your evaluations and see and try to think of what the coach is thinking when they make their evaluation.
I tried to watch the 49ers Saints game last night. I tried to watch the Broncos. Packers, Broncos and Packers last night.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't watch them. I mean, I have a few minutes here and there, but I mean, when you got 3rd, 4th, and 5th string guys, and maybe even some lower than that, I mean, who wants to see that? And the starters never play anymore.
No,
they
don't.
The starters don't play because they're worried about them getting hurt, even though this is the first time you can actually see people who are supposed to be prospects actually get snaps to see how they're going to assimilate to the offense.
Right.
I mean,
and don't get me wrong, I cannot wait for the season to start in 3 weeks. I cannot wait. And
I can't either.
I schedule my whole Sunday around the NFL.
Same.
I don't do anything but watch football on Sunday. But the first couple weeks is going to be horrible because nobody's played.
Mm-hmm.
No. The tackling will be terrible. There'll be a lot of penalties. It will be terrible for the first couple weeks.
It is. And it's going to take a couple, maybe even 3 weeks to have everyone get their act together because they didn't play in the preseason.
Knock the ring rust off.
Yep.
It's just it's
speaking of ring rust and speaking of evaluations, let me get Jay's honest evaluation of one Caleb Williams.
I think he's probably, I know he's played a little bit here and there the last couple of weeks, but I think he's probably exceeded expectations because he's handled himself so well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and I mean, clearly, getting rid of Justin Fields, I mean, he can't even, between him and Russell Wilson, I mean, they don't even know who's going to be starting with the Steelers.
Pittsburgh's going to become
I don't think there was any question. People are still debating on what you should do, whether you get rid of Fields or draft Williams. It's a no-brainer.
It is a no-brainer.
Pittsburgh's going to be
and the fact they got Williams and Roma Dunze in the same draft.
Yep, 1-9. 1-9. Should Odunze be the number one wide receiver?
You know he's not because of what they just did with DJ Moore.
Yeah.
Which leads back to the statement. I first said it here. Jay heard me. Victor's heard me. Everybody in the chat has heard me say it when they signed him. Dear Chicago Bears, you have now mortgaged, and with the contract extension, you have now risked your entire future for DJ Moore.
And if you watch Hard Knocks a couple weeks ago, there was really not much of a debate.
Nope.
They pretty much just gave it to him, and they didn't really discuss it with him.
Exactly. They gave it to him without even blinking.
You know how we used to call the St. Louis Rams the greatest show on turf?
Yes.
The Bears are now known as the dumbest show on grass. I'm just
well, you know how I feel about it. I've been saying this ever since he was the Panthers when our friend said he was the greatest thing in the world.
Oh, dear.
He's had a good year, especially he's had a good last couple of years since he's especially been with the Bears. Maybe he just had to get away from the Panthers, and I'll give him that. He has played well.
I will give him that also.
To me, he's not an elite number one.
No, he's not.
No,
because everybody. And here's the thing: the Midwest Committee of Bear Idiocy wants to come to. After I said the statement I said about DJ Moore, and I will continue to stand by it because you can see it in the offense. The only reason DJ Moore led them in receptions and yards, and Justin Fields had the season he had, was because out of a sheer unadulterated necessity, because there's no offensive line on that Chicago Bears team. None.
And there was no option. Who else were you going to throw the ball to?
No,
maybe Claypool.
That's true.
Oh God, Chase Claypool. Chase Claypool. Not fool.
Maybe Komet. But I mean, that's it. Like it was basically DJ Moore or bust.
Listen,
so they had to make it work.
The Chicago Bears and the Carolina Panthers share a common denominator, and that's their inability to develop players into the superstars that people project them to be. Bryce Young, hello.
The Bears have never had a quarterback.
They've never had a franchise quarterback. Ever. I mean, been watching football since 1980. You can tell me
he was good, but I wouldn't say he was an elite quarterback.
You know the best quarterback this is from my opinion and my opinion only. You know the best quarterback that the Bears had, and I'm talking about in the 40 years I've watched them play. His name is Eric Kramer.
Sexy Rexy?
His name is Eric Kramer.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Sexy Rexy.
Listen, Jay, you know me better. INT Rex, exactly. Jay, you know me better than that. Okay, there are some people that you and I both know that will say Sexy Rexy is the best Bears quarterback that they've had, which is a falsehood because there was a fellow named Eric Kramer who was more consistent than Jay Cutler, Rex Grossman, and Jim McMahon put together.
I'll even go as far as say Jim Miller was really good. Yeah,
Jay Cutler was a head case and still is a head case.
And will continue to be a head case.
And he brought along his
Brandon Marshall,
now ex-wife, with him.
Oh,
dear God!
And that was another issue in itself. That was like a soap opera within itself.
Mm-hmm. That was a big soap opera. And my mom, my late mother, would always tease me about why do I like the 49ers more than the Bears. She was a Bears fan. All right. She was a Bears fan. And she'd always ask me, why don't I like Jay Cutler? I'd look at my mother and I go, have you seen him play?
Yeah. He's so inconsistent.
That's
you didn't know
that.
what he was
There it
going to
is.
do.
That's all I can say. Have you seen him play?
My only issue with Caleb Williams right now is from what I saw against the Bengals. I think he holds on to the ball too long.
Well, I'm going to go back to what I said about preseason. We don't know what he's going to do. We don't know what he's going to do.
And no one's showing their full hand.
And nobody's throwing any kind of real defense at him.
Right. Exactly. That's why I was surprised.
That part, Jay Spivey, that part. No one's throwing a real defense at him.
That's what I was thinking. Like they were like he's scrambling, and they're not even throwing like their real defense out there.
They're not even coming.
Well, it's not. I'm not even talking about just the players they're bringing on. They're not bringing any real defensive schemes against him right now.
No,
they're not going to show their cards in the preseason.
Of course they're not. Of course they're not. And you shouldn't.
And let's face it, I know we've gone we've suddenly gone the rookie starting all the time. We'll get quarterback, but he's going to struggle.
He is.
And I have a feeling as good a year as C.J. Stroud had last year, and he did have a great year.
He did.
My bet is he's going to have a sophomore slump this year.
You think so?
Yeah, because you're going to have some bumps and grind. You're going to have some trials and tribulations.
You know what? As much of a liar as C.J. Stroud made out of me, I wouldn't be surprised if he did struggle.
Yeah, and I'm not saying he's going to struggle, but he's going to have some ups and downs this year.
Right.
Because you better believe, especially people in his own division, have been working on him all summer.
Exactly.
If I may ask a question, what were your thoughts, Jay, about the Falcons, in my opinion, choking away the draft by drafting?
Oh my God, that's just the dumbest. I mean, why in the world you sign Kirk Cousins and then draft a quarterback?
You know what? Listen,
I said
when I saw that live, okay? Victor was with who was with me? Victor, you were with me. Yep. I think Deets was with me. My wife was nearby and she was watching the draft with me. And we got to talking about the Falcons. And saying how good of an offense they're going to be now that they have Kirk Cousins in tow. And then that happened. They grabbed Michael Penix.
I said to Brian, I think right now every team in the NFC South is laughing at Atlanta just for that.
That was a total Arthur Blank move.
It is.
I guarantee you that was not the general manager's call. I guarantee you that was Arthur Blank.
I guarantee you it wasn't the general manager's call either. I guarantee you. The only thing and I know Deb Whitkus is going to laugh at me for saying this, but the only good thing going on in Atlanta right now, they do have some pieces. They don't know who's going to run the offense. And I mean, even with Kirk 2 Chainz Cousins in tow, even with Michael Penix in tow, who gets the ball for week 1?
Well, even if we do have my bet is we're eventually going to have a quarterback competition at some point this season. So you gave all this money to Kirk Cousins, and probably you're going to either get rid of him or trade him at some point when the money is guaranteed.
And what did I say, Snowman? They started a quarterback controversy, which they didn't need.
They did not need it.
They did not
and they need so much more than a quarterback.
They do. I don't even know why they picked up Kirk Cousins, but they were desperate. They needed somebody.
It's like I said. It's like when the Bears mortgaged their future for DJ Moore. The Falcons did the same thing for Kirk Cousins. And on that note, we got to get out of here. Jay Spivey joining us on the program as he does every Monday, and I promise he'll be back every Monday. Got everything together. Thank you, Jay. Love you, brother. Thank you so much. We'll do it next week.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.